Okay, so today we're going to talk all about your period, the phases of your cycle, how to maximize it for your business and also for your personal life, and then how to just start connecting to these different energetic phases, why they're important, and why your period is actually this amazing time of sacred energy. So once upon a time, when a woman was having her period, she was regarded as this oracle of wisdom and knowledge. She was just this wealth of information. She was sacred, and it was honored. This time was really, really honored. Women were encouraged to listen to their inner voice, and the tribe would look to her for advice and guidance. Today, periods are often viewed in Western culture as just this inconvenience and something to get through and medicate and stop up and just try and get through the day and hustle through and ignore it. So at one point, the period was celebrated. The menstrual cycle was this beautiful sacred time. In ancient Greece, menstrual blood was actually used on the fields to help increase the fertility of the crops. So they would have this whole beautiful festival that would happen in the springtime. So we've come a long way, and it's my passion to really help women get back to that time and that place of sacred rest for this really incredible element that we have as a part of us as being females. So you probably have heard this, but women's cycles are very deeply connected to the lunar cycles and the tides. In fact, the word menstruation comes from the Greek word menous, which translates loosely to the moon, power, and month. Women would often bleed together on the new moon, and then they would ovulate on the full moon. And as we'll talk about in a second, that is a little bit of a sliding scale. Women don't do that as much anymore because we're dealing with different circadian rhythms because of the artificial light that we're exposed to and hormonal disruptors and things like that. So we don't tend to be as strict as that, but ancestrally, that was common for women's cycles to sync. And they would all bleed together on the new moon, and there would be moon lodges and red tents and all of these beautiful sacred spaces for women to experience this phase in. Women are drawn to experience deep, profound spiritual connections when they're bleeding. But sadly, most of the Western world, we suppress this beautiful time, and we suppress the blood flow. And then we end up blocking our creative intuition and refusing to honor this divine time. So Beth, how are we supposed to make this work in our everyday lives? Why is it so important? What do we do? I'll tell you. So a couple important notes before we go forward. One is that these phases are still active even if you don't currently bleed. So if you're in the crone phase of your life, which is post-menopausal or even going through menopausal where you're kind of in that transition, or if you don't have a uterus anymore or you're struggling with infertility, even if you don't bleed, if you have female anatomy, you still will fall in line with some of these energetic phases, and you are probably more lunar than you are solar. Men are solar, women are lunar. So men have a 24-hour energetic cycle, so the same as the sun, it's a 24-hour cycle. Women have a 28-day cycle, the same as the moon. So that's kind of where we're getting that from. So you will notice that you'll fall in line with some of these phases, even if you don't currently bleed. That's totally okay. You can line yourself up with the lunar cycle, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit, and that will help to get you in sync with something and have some foundation there, even if you don't have the same bodily phases as you are going through this little webinar here. So just know that. Menstrual cycles normally range from 25 to 36 days. Again, each woman is a little bit different, so don't get hung up on the actual length of a certain phase. Some phases overlap or they're specific to your cycle. So again, we're not going to get too wrapped up in it. This is just sort of a starting point. The other important note, ovulation is a single day event. You only ovulate one day, but you have this spring energy that lasts anywhere from about 5 to 7 days. So it might hang out a little bit longer. You might have just 3 days where you feel the spring energy and it'll move into summer, but just know that you actually only ovulate one day out of the month. Okay, so the first phase that we're talking about is my personal favorite, I think, is your bleeding phase, actually, and into your follicular phase, and this is your winter. As a season, it's parallel to the season of winter. So this is more a time of reflection. This is when you're cleansing. You need lots of rest, breathing deeply, and then letting all of these things go that no longer serve you. This is a time to cleanse in the same way that your body is cleansing and releasing blood, and it's releasing things that no longer serve it. Your emotions and your spirit is also doing the same thing. So Now is the time to refrain from as much masculine work as possible. Instead, focus on what's working and what's not working. Take your time, be reflective, allow yourself to think and be and feel and let things come up so that you can move them out. Yoga with deep breathing is really good. You want to encourage this openness and flow. You don't want to be doing anything to stop up. You don't want to be doing anything to seize your body up. You don't want to be using tampons. That's one of the worst things you can do because it's actually you're basically damming up the flow. So things like that are really not conducive to a healthy, open, connected, and cyclical being. So on the actual physical, emotional, spiritual stuff, physically, again, you're probably bleeding. You might be feeling tired. You might be feeling inactive. You might be having some pelvic pain, some lower back pain, hip pain, all of the different things. If you have an excessive amount of that, that could be signaling that you have some hormonal stuff going on or an excess in toxicity and inflammation. So that would be something to be aware of. But see these as encouragements to rest and nourish yourself. You'll see a lot of times hormonal disorders and pain comes from your body asking you to slow down and rest. So this is a great time to do that. Emotionally, your emotional threshold is very, very low. So you have a lot of things coming up internally. And so any additional external emotional stressors are going to just add to that and compound, which is why you're going to want to kind of create some space. This is why we tend to draw more inward, and we don't want to be around maybe the spouse or the kids or the friends. We want to just kind of be alone because we have all of this other stuff going on internally, and this is a time for us to be introspective and not be out and with everybody else's emotions involved as well. So this is also a really important time to, again, release anything that isn't serving us. As these things come up, it's a really good time to make sure that they are coming out as well. They are not coming up and then we're suppressing them. We want them to move through the body. And you'll notice too that this is when you're going to want some solitude, some quiet time. So make space for yourself. Give yourself permission to have that. All right. The other thing with this phase is for your soul, your intuition is heightened. So the two hemispheres of the brain, so you've got essentially your subconscious and your conscious mind, are most actively communicating in this phase. So you've got the subconscious activity that might be heightened and things are being brought to the surface. That's okay. That's a good thing. We want those things to come through so that we can release them. So let the stuff come up. Don't be afraid of the big emotions. Let it come through. And then as bleeding slows, this is a really good time to consciously set intentions for the next phase of your cycle and emerge from this time of introspection. So what can you do? What active action can you actually do? Give yourself lots of space. Journal, again, reflect. You want to just give yourself so much time and space, but journaling is a really good way to process the intuition and the intuitive messages that are coming through. For business, this is not the time to go and network. This is the time to call off work if you can, or eliminate as many things as possible and keep it really, really light. And then also look at the last month, see what went well, see what didn't go as great, see what you could do going forward to make it work better. So use this time even in your business to reflect and see what was or was not working. Okay, so spring. This is one of those things that a lot of women think is just them being energetic and they're just feeling good, but it's actually this huge hormonal dump. And we're entering this spring phase, this follicular phase, which is when we are just bubbly and magnetic and amazing. So you're dynamic with this renewed sense of self and replenished energy. Now this is the time to spring into action. You're going to have this boost of energy that just makes you want to go, go, go. And this is the time where it's good to go, go, go. This is when the feminine hustle comes in, and it's actually really beneficial to us because we have excess energy to use. So what wasn't working, what was working, all those things that you were reflecting on in your crone stage, now is the time to actually implement a plan and move into those optimizing phases and go do stuff. So enhance the stuff that wasn't working, change that was working, and then change what wasn't working. This is a really good time for meetings, coffee dates, strategy sessions, and your body also is going to do better with heavier workouts as well. So physically, the pituitary glands are releasing the follicle stimulating hormone, which is your FSH, and that's very difficult to say. This signals to the ovaries that they need to get ready to ovulate. So again, this physical energy is rising. You might be really into high intensity workouts. Your HIIT workouts or you're hitting PRs, like everything is working really great. Emotionally, you've got this emotional refreshment as well. So you're ready for everybody else's stuff. You can do social activities again. You can hear about the things going on with your girlfriends. You can do all of the stuff because you have this higher threshold for emotional energy as well. So go be your little social butterfly self. With the soul, you might be feeling this renewed sense of invigoration and lightness because you just purged all of this other stuff. And so you have this lightness about you, and you are ready to go pursue your passions, and you have a ton of clarity on your dreams. So again, this is a really good time to act. Act, create, and connect with people. Those are kind of the three concepts behind your spring phase. And then in business, great time to plan business meetings, photo shoots, and front-facing activities. There have been lots of studies that have shown women who are ovulating are actually more prone to land the deal, land the guy, go home with the guy. Our pupils are dilated, our skin is more plump, we're talking in a different tone, our bodies are just magnetic. And so anything that you need to do that is front-facing, this is the time to do it. Okay, so summer, this is your ovulation or your harvest phase. This is when you're really, really expressive. This is also part of the mother phase that we'll talk about in archetypes in another training. But this is your juicy, your magnetic. This is a really good time to close business deals. People just want to say yes to you, attracting your tribe, and then sinking more deeply into your self-love. Again, this is just nourish, fill yourself. Your skin is plumper and glowing, so this is the time to get headshots, record videos, and also you're going to be more prone to wanting to do upbeat workouts. So again, go hit those PRs. So physically, this is when ovulation actually occurs. You're strong, you're alert, you're confident, you're energized, you have these high stable estrogen levels, so you feel open and sociable and communicative. So generally, the mood is great, you're ready to go, you're happy, you're bubbly, and you're motivated. Emotionally, again, similarly to spring, the spring and summer kind of overlap. You will be just the bubbliest part of you. So you can connect with yourself in a deeper way because, again, in the same way that you're wanting to connect with others, you're also wanting to connect with yourself because you're growing this network and you're expanding your connections. So you might be drawn inward in a different way. It's a little bit different than your winter phase where you were more introspective and analytical to fix things. Now you're going to be more introspective to actually connect with yourself and understand yourself better. So plan those social events and network. Your communication skills are sharp. You're thinking quickly, calmly, and logically, and you have stamina. So this is just like you are full force, just queen of all things. Business, this is again the fertile phase. You're super magnetic. Launch the course, do the marketing, attract the guy. Do the things. This is your time. Okay, so now we enter fall. Fall is when we start to slow down a little bit. You're going to have these bursts of creativity and self-reflection. Allow these things to come up and be expressed. Big emotions might be coming up. This is when we start to see this premenstrual phase. So they might be coming up in order to be released. Your body is preparing for this release to enter it back into that menstrual cycle. So if you're feeling premenstrual, if you're feeling big emotions, that's okay. Give yourself some space and let yourself move through that. Find a creative outlet and acknowledge the feelings. So start slowing down your work and prepare to rest by pre-planning meals or getting the babysitter, blocking time off for your menstrual phase, and enjoy lighter workouts. You get these bursts of energy in order to actually prepare for the time of slowing down a ton. So those bursts of energy might give you the burst to clean your home because you know in the next few days you're not going to want to. You're going to want to just be in bed or you're going to want to rest. So use those energetic bursts to actually prepare for a time of being very, very quiet and still. So physically, the hormones at this phase increase our attention to detail. So you might be absorbed in domestic chores such as cleaning, fine-tuning all of the little things in your home, or quieter analytical tasks. And we'll get to that in a second. Emotionally, you're starting to slow down. You're going to go seek some quiet. And then in order to create space to be alone, you might actually find yourself pushing others away. If you're aware that this is the phase you're going to be in, then you're not going to be as prone to pushing others away. You're going to know how to create space in a healthy way rather than being reactive and getting frustrated and just telling them to go, piss off. We don't want that. For the soul, you're going to feel the desire to perform self-care rituals. Again, this is preparing this sacred temple for a really big time of cleansing. So you want to restore and honor the body and aid in its natural cleansing and help you feel soothed and grounded. So just tons and tons of nourishment and support. Act. This is a great time to reflect on the past cycle and honor all the things that you've achieved, and also make intentions to change what didn't serve you. So this reflection prepares you to release any aspects of yourself that no longer are desired or required. In business, focus on those monotonous tasks. So up again, at the beginning, we mentioned that there's analytical tasks or something that we're more prone to at this stage. This is a really good time to do the monotonous stuff. So do your bookkeeping, do your accounting, look at your systems, fine tune your calendar, all of those little more monotonous tasks that maybe in the spring you're not wanting to do at all. This is the time that you're going to be really, really good at it, and the time that you're going to be more likely to want to. So strategize and create a blueprint for your business in this fall stage. Okay, so we've gone through all of the different phases. I've given you a few tips on how you can maximize each of these phases and really, really make it work for your company, for your business, for your life, for your relationships. Learn how to celebrate your cycle. Be conscious of your femininity, honor how powerful it is, and appreciate that your period is actually a time of healing and deep connection with yourself and with your spirit and with the relationships and the people around you. Another action. This is the first biggie that I would recommend you do. Block off the different phases of your cycle on your calendar. Get yourself a paper calendar and figure out when you're going to be bleeding. If you can, if you can't, then we'll talk about that in a second. But if you can, if you have somewhat of a consistent cycle, minimally block off your period. Figure out when you're going to be bleeding and try and take as much time off. If you can take a full day off, that's amazing. If you can book yourself a massage for a couple of days before or a couple of days after, just support yourself. Surround yourself with nourishment and support so that you can really, really rest and allow yourself that time of cleansing. Okay, so the phases of your menstrual cycle provide an underlying blueprint around the best way to organize your life, to support yourself, and also to enable your own best performance. It's actually amazing. We are like ingrained with this beautiful blueprint of how to do life efficiently and beautifully and in a sacred way. So your personal cycle aligns with the rhythm of the moon in its own way. It might not look like bleeding on the new moon and ovulating on the full moon like it did, hundreds of years ago. It'll be a little bit different, and that's okay. The way that these cycles dance around each other is a creation in and of itself. That is part of the beauty of us all being individuals and unique females. In my own experience, the more you develop a relationship with the moon and her phases, the more tuned into her your body becomes. So the more aware you are of the lunar cycle, the more your body will actually start to align itself with that. And after not long at all, those two cycles may even synchronize. And that's what I have experienced on a personal level. So this is why tracking your cycle and knowing where you're at is so, so important. And you'll also start to notice the ebb and flow of energy where it's consistent. And the chart that we'll have in just a second will also offer the nature made blueprint for this if you don't have a bleed to actually track.
Okay, so the easiest way to look at this is all you're going to do is you're going to find out what phase the moon is where you are, and you're going to apply the associated phase from the menstrual cycle. So for instance, if it is the full moon where you are, then you're going to apply all of the principles of the ovulatory phase that we went through in this webinar. Then when it's the last quarter of the moon, or you're noticing the waning moon, then you're going to apply all of the principles for the luteal phase. When it's a new moon, then you're going to apply the principles for the menstrual phase. And then in the first quarter or the waxing moon, then you're going to apply all of the principles for the follicular phase. So this just gives you a way to start syncing up, anchoring to the moon, and gives your body an external framework to work with while it's regulating, while it's finding consistency. One important note is if you are pregnant or postpartum, especially if you're postpartum, the first 40 days postpartum, those need to be an extended menstrual phase. So you don't want to apply lunar anchoring right away. That's after you've been through that 4th trimester of pregnancy where you're in early postpartum. After that, if you're looking to start syncing up with the cycle again and start getting your period back and things like that, that's when you bring in lunar anchoring. So I don't recommend it anytime before that, because you have an extended menstrual phase essentially when you're postpartum, where you just need to nourish the heck out of yourself. So this is a really simple process. Don't overcomplicate it. When you look outside and you go, oh, it's a full moon, then that is a great time to start applying principles like being more externally focused and connecting with people, networking, being front facing, doing your photo shoots, all of that, versus in your menstrual phase, if it's a new moon outside, that's a really good time to take time for yourself, be more reflective, be more introspective, take time to take a break and maybe go get a massage or squeeze in a nap, anything like that, where you can really signal to your body that this is a time that you've intentionally taken to rest, is going to serve you and allow you to start syncing up with a cycle. And remember that your circadian rhythm, your sleep wake rhythm, is going to be affected by light pollution. So the more you can honor the natural light cycles, the more quickly your body can acclimate to them and sync up. So when it starts to get dark outside, turn off your lights, use warm lights, not LEDs. And then in the mornings, wake yourself up with a good dose of sunshine in your eyes and allow your body to start acclimating to natural rhythms of the sun and the moon, and you will start to see consistency in that most likely. What we've talked about today is just barely scratching the surface on how cycle syncing can support you as a female. So I've created a whole bunch of different offerings to build on one another so that you can ease into this concept of cycle syncing and feminine living without feeling overwhelmed, because we also want to honor the nervous system, and the nervous system thinks that anything that is unfamiliar may not be safe, and so it tends to guard us. So I've created a really slow process to allow you to start implementing some of these concepts into your life and then into your business, and then we release all of it and deepen your freedom through one-to-one coaching. So when you learn the steps of this beautiful dance of your body, your phase, your energy, your rhythms, you can choreograph a dance that fits your life specifically. So I've designed these programs to build on one another so you can learn how to masterfully build a beautifully choreographed life of nourishment. So step one is my Cycle Sync for Life e-course. And this is where you essentially learn the steps and some basic dance combinations. So we have everything from A to Z on cycle syncing. You'll learn the basics of the infradian rhythm beyond what you've learned today. More in-depth guides on each of the 4 phases and how to implement them in your life. You'll learn about sex and intimacy, communication, skincare, hair care, diet, exercise, all sorts of different elements that cycle syncing does influence. So Cycle Sync for Life is a really good start. Then we move into creating a business of freedom and feminine flow, and this is through my Gentle Business Jumpstart 12-week program. If you don't have a business, then you can go right to step 3 or hang out in step 1, whatever serves you best. But this Gentle Business Jumpstart is a way to start or scale a feminine-focused business. It's a way to create a business that honors you as a woman with an infradian rhythm who works on a 28-day-ish cycle instead of a 24-hour cycle. So we're eliminating the hustle mode, we're getting rid of burnout, and we're creating a business of sustainability that honors your body. Then, again, step 3 is somatic coaching. So I do somatic coaching, which is a mind-body approach to coaching. And what we're doing is we're removing the blocks of conditioning, of masculine conditioning around our lives and around our behaviors so that we can more confidently and effectively step into our feminine without losing productivity and without sending our nervous system into fight or flight. So we're working with the subconscious and we're working with the body wisdom to really empower you into freedom, into success, and into a more nourished space of vitality. So then, in terms of Cycle Sync for Life, let's talk a little bit more about this. So this course is for you if you are a high-achieving woman who wants to do it all and you just cannot seem to find the time or the energy. If you keep finding yourself on the burnout roller coaster, if you're scared to rest because you are fearful that you may lose out on productivity, if you are a mom trying to figure out how to get your needs met, if you struggle to set boundaries, if you want to feel lighter and freer and more authentically yourself, if you struggle to find consistency in your routines, if you want to maximize your exercise and eating habits for sustainable results, and if you want to learn how to express your needs to your partner and have deeper intimacy with them. These are all parts of cycle syncing that you may not realize are actually affected when you start to lean into your feminine rhythms. So by the end of this self-paced course, you're going to know how to create more time for yourself by using your energy strategically. You're going to understand how each of the 4 phases of your menstrual cycle are going to work so that you can maximize your productivity and your recovery and your connection. You're going to know how to better manage your energy and improve your mood and feel more energized. You're going to know how to maximize your productivity so that you can actually work less but get more done. You're going to finally learn how to rest without that annoying guilt. You'll know how to lean into your feminine in order to create the life that you really want. And you'll be able to wake up each day appreciating your body and be able to view this beautiful menstrual cycle as a reflection of your overall health and well-being, as an ally instead of an enemy. You'll receive an in-depth workbook to guide you through your journey, more than 20 lessons and some bonus lessons, more than 12 guides on integrating this information in your life in a tangible way, from nutrition ideas to exercise to ways to work with your skincare and hair care to love languages throughout your cycle and everything in between. You'll also get additional resources to continue your journey after the course ends. This is available via app as well as desktop, so there's easy on-the-go learning. You can also have the option to bundle coaching at a discount for additional support. And each module also has a guided meditation to help you drop in and lower that nervous system overwhelm and get you into a place of calm restoration. This is also a living, breathing course, so I will continue to add to it, and when you purchase it one time, you also reap the benefits of having this course and all of the things that I add to it over the years. So if this is interesting to you, head over to www.rosewoodwoman.com/cyclesync4life so you can learn more or you can enroll. And right now I'm offering it off at 50% just for a limited time. And this is just to get this information into more women's hands and make sure that women are really getting supported as much as possible. So I wanted to discount this for a little bit until more and more women have gotten a hold of it, and then I'll probably increase the price in a month or so. I hope you've enjoyed this webinar, and I look forward to connecting with you. Please feel free to reach out at any point at beth@rosewoodwoman.com. I'm here to support you in any way you need.